point in terms of looking at what might jumpstart this a bit, and that's why that's where it came to the council from, I believe. And as I said, the idea was that if it was direct to the town, well, from Rich's point of view, if it was direct to the town, would that make it easier or what? But as I said, this came through economic development because of a desire to see something happen on that site sooner rather than later.
Sure. Any councilors that want to weigh in with anything? Is everybody okay with Rich and Kathy trying to work together for the next couple of weeks, and we have something addressed to us on our meeting on the 13th, I believe it is.
It
Mark,
sounds
did you have
like
anything? Well, I'm sorry, Jim.
It sounds like no one's hands are being tied, so I'd say, yeah, go ahead, get it taken care of.
Okay. Mark,
Agreed.
was that a fair representation from the Economic Development Committee?
Yeah, I mean, it was just, the discussion was about trying to find alternatives because we've been doing the same thing. And, the only thing, we had talked about was Rich could offer a commission, there could be a flat fee commission because the sales price isn't the absolute there.
Right.
If it's a good project, we the sales price isn't as important as the project itself.
Sure. Rich, is that okay with you to work something, try just to bring a proposal back to us at our next meeting?
Yes, if Kathy is still on, if she would
I am.
write up the contract about what we had spoke about, I can bring that to the council.
Okay, I'm happy to do that. I mean, I think another example is like the Masonic Hall. We've had a lot more interest on developing something like that. But again, that has not come to any specific plan either. And there's a lot of interest in Bucksport. It's a real positive focal point. But I think this being bare land, it's a bigger project because there's nothing there to begin with.
I think we've shown as a council that we're pretty open to anything, and I just point to Wilson Hall as our first point,
Right.
that we will try to work to do anything. So, Rich, I'll leave it to you and Kathy then to come up with something for us, and we will we'll look at it at our next meeting.
Okay, I'll get it, Rich. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Not sure how to sign off.
The little hang up thing that looks like a
Oh, there you go. Okay, got it. Bye all.
All right, now we'll go to agenda items. Item A is to approve Resolve 2021-04 to approve the 1920 property tax abatement for Maine Maritime Academy.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments? I know Richard Rosen. Richard Rosen, you are now on the phone, correct?
That is correct.
All right. Does anybody have any questions or comments about this? All right. Jacob, you there to have the floor?
I think so. Can you hear me?
We can, yes.
All right. Mark Eastman,
Approve.
Jim Morrison,
Approve.
Paul Bissonnette,
Approve.
Peter Stewart,
I'm going to abstain.
Dan Ormsby,
Approve.
Kathy Downs,
Approve.
Ed Rankin.
Approve.
Thanks. Richard, thank you very much. You can, you're free to go for the evening.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Item B is to approve Resolve 2021-05 to approve the sewer commitment for the April 1st, 2020, June 30th, 2020 quarter in the amount of $224,795.83.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Anything from the council? Anything from the public on any of that, Sue?
No, I am going to need signatures on this. If folks could come in sometime next week, It'll be at the front counter for signatures, that's all.
Okay.
All right. Roll call, vote, Jake?
Mark Eastman,
Approve.
Jim Morrison,
Approve.
Paul Bissonnette,
Approve.
Peter Stewart,
Approve.
Dan Ormsby,
Approve.
Kathy Downs,
Approve.
Ed Rankin.
Approve.
Item C is to approve Resolve 2021-06 to approve the microloan application for the Jed Prouty Residential Care Home in the amount of $20,000.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Rich, anything on this?
Mr. Chambers and Jed Prouty previously had a microloan with us. They have since paid that loan off in full. They're requesting the $20,000 for the alarm system for the building.
Any questions from the council? If everybody saw the application. How much money do we have left in that account, Rich?
$25,000.
25,000?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions? Roll call, Jake?
Mark Eastman,
Approve.
Jim Morrison,
Oh, I think Jimmy froze.
are you there, Jim?
Jim Morrison
Um,
isn't broadcast, he,
Oops.
oh, okay. Jim will be back shortly. They reset the routers in this building to see if that would help. And Town Hall Streams is not working right now, so we're going out to local cable, but they're trying to figure out why that isn't working as well.
Okay, well, we are on the local access cable, you said?
We are, but the audio is not good on that, and our IT staff is working on that right now, but I got an email from a resident who said that the audio was not good.
It is better now that you guys have gone to phones. I know Jacob is fully with us with a phone, so maybe that was a little bit ago, but
I'm also directly connected to our system instead of using wireless now also, so
and you are
that's why I can,
yeah, and you're much better also. If you want to grab everybody else, Jake, and we'll wait for Jim to get back.
Yeah, Paul Bissonnette,
Approve.
Peter Stewart,
Approve?
Dan Ormsby,
Approve.
Kathy Downs,
Approve.
Ed Rankin,
Approve.
hello?
Hi, I was waiting for Jim to come back, so
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
I know,
just saw
deadly
Jimmy pop
silence.
up, and I didn't get,
That motion is carried. It was 6-0 right now. I don't know if we everybody if we'll just wait because he should be back shortly. Is everybody okay with that?
Sure.
So when's our next in-person meeting again?
Soon.
Like,
They're working on having it on the 13th of August at the Performing Arts Center, if that works out.
Well, I'm glad we got through the folks that were on the phone for other items, so they're not nothing personal, Jay, but you get to sit and hang out with us like Rich does. So there's Jimmy. Are you back with us, Jim?
He's muted.
Yes, I'm here.
All right. We are taking a vote, Jim, on the microloan. Jake, Jim is back.
Yep. Jim Morrison.
Yes. Approve.
All right. The item D is to approve the resolve 2021-07 to approve the purchase of a 2015 Freightliner for use by the transfer station to be funded from the transfer station equipment reserve. How would the council like to proceed?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Jay, are you still with us?
I'm here.
Any comments or questions from the council for Jay? Hearing none?
Well, I did want to say, this is Susan, that I checked with the prior owner of this vehicle to sort of get another history on Bouchard's does excellent maintenance on their vehicles, and so it was a lower mileage vehicle than they normally trade, and so I know Bouchard's from years in Hamden, so I contacted him, and this truck had an engine rebuild last year, and so he said of all the ones they had traded 20 that this was the best one. And when I asked why they hadn't retained it if it was under mileage, he said it's because for them maintenance on an old machine or an older machine takes way longer than on a brand new one, and so it was 5 years and they traded it, but that this should be a very good vehicle for us if you go for it.
Good.
If I could, I would like to know, was it an over-the-road vehicle or was it one that just hauled more local?
It was an over-the-road vehicle.
Danny?
how long do we expect this to last for us? Do we have a estimated?
Well, our current truck has 995,000 miles on it. This one has 447,000, and it's going to make basically a trip a week to Orrington. So if we keep up on the body and the normal stuff, it should last us a very long time. When we got the first one, it was an experiment to see if it was going to work with Public Works hauling that, so they spent $15,000. The other thing is when we sell that one that we used as an experiment, that can offset part of the cost of this as well. It will go back into that same reserve account.
Kathy, do you have a question?
That was my question on
Okay.
what were we going to do with the old vehicle. So Sue just answered it. Thank you,
Okay.
Sue.
Anything else? Vote, Jake?
Mark Eastman.
Approve.
Jim Morrison,
Approve.
Paul Bissonnette,
Approve.
Peter Stewart,
Approve.
Dan Ormsby,
Approve.
Kathy Downs,
Approve.
Ed Rankin.
Approve.
Item 9 is resignations, appointments, assignments, and elections. There is a note that nomination papers are available. Sue, anything else on that?
Just, there are 2 council positions for 3-year terms and 2 school board positions for 3-year terms that are, nomination papers were available as of today. Jacob, when's the due date to have them back?
September 3rd. Close of business hours on September 3rd.
Thank you.
Item 10 is approval of quick claims, discharges, and deeds. I don't believe we have any. Item 11 is the town manager report. Sue?
Yes, one of the items that's been discussed since before I came to Bucksport is the need for additional housing that is located in the in-town area. I spoke with a representative of Penquist Cap today about a program that allows for development of housing on a smaller scale than the normal 30 to 40 unit developments that are geared for a more moderate income level, which is what people here have been saying they were looking for. The deadline for program application is too soon for us to consider an application this year, but I would like to work on a project for submission next year that may allow such a development and potentially of the former Timberlands building owned by AIM. And this would not be a town-funded development project. It would be an application we put in through Penquist or Down East, depending on which one took it on, that finds developers, funders to do that kind of project. And moderate income being 80% of the median income in Hancock County, which is $40,000 to $50,000 in income per single person, which is certainly would allow for some of our seniors who are looking to downsize or others that are just looking for housing. So that's a project that we could work on over the next year to have a good submittal ready by that time. I attached to my manager's report, which I emailed to you and which I put on Google Drive and which is also on the town's website, a copy of the latest CDC guidelines in regard to gatherings. These were published on July 7th, and these go a step further for what they've had before, in which they assign a risk rating to different types of meeting structures. Since this was updated information, as I said, it's on our website and I've provided it to you. We continue to have problems with people not cleaning up after their dogs when walking them on the waterfront. We provide doggy bags in several locations, as well as waste receptacles for them to be deposited into. And at this point, town staff are left to clean up the messes that are left behind by irresponsible pet owners. And I would ask that people listening and to please be responsible. I would hate to have the actions of a few ruin it for the many people who do pick up after their pets. It was a problem in the winter. It's still a significant problem for the waterfront. Tax bills started arriving this past weekend, and in the first 4 days since they've been out, we have collected $247,924.57, or 3.5% of our total tax commitment. And the first half of taxes are not due before interest starts until August 31st. We've had a very positive reaction to the additional homestead exemption and reduction in the mill rate. Many people who've come in to pay said, my bill went down, and the answer was yes, it did, which is a good thing. The free meals program hit a new high this week with 159 deliveries on Monday. The program continues through next week at no cost. The $6 meal fee will be required as of August 3rd, but there are vouchers available after the end of July for those who have a limited income. And anyone can call Bill Foster at the Senior Center at 469-3632 for more information. We are one of 12 communities in Maine who have been invited to participate in an AARP project that develops an age and ability-friendly dashboard for your community that highlights all the good work we are doing to be a livable community. It is one more way to get the word out about Bucksport, and there is no cost for the town for this work. There were 4 communities in the first round, and AARP is seeking to extend the opportunity to other communities as well. As a reminder, we have census workers who are in town, but for people who are still not comfortable with someone coming to their door, you can still complete the census form that was sent to you in March. You can do it by calling the census, and you can do it by going online and doing it. And we're hoping to get our rate above the 64.4% that was the town's response, the self-response rate in 2010. That's my report.
Any questions? 2 things. Jay or Rich, is that same dog issue up on our trail system also?
I'm not sure which dog it is, Peter, but I am aware of one dog that is constantly doing it, and it's an issue still on the waterfront. I've chased her down. I mean, usually we have the bike police officer during the summer, which could also help out, but we have no one down here monitoring the waterfront except for the 3 folks that are working and myself when I'm down here checking in on it. On the trails, I have seen that dog headed towards the trails recently, and also walking the streets of Federal and Mill recently as well.
All right, so I can trust that you and Sue can have a conversation. Hopefully we can come up with a good solution to this without having to chase it any further.
What I would hate for us to have to do is not allow dogs on the waterfront. But if you can't gain compliance and no one tells us who this is, then it becomes a real issue.
Well, I guess that's what I was looking at, is if we could get, every couple weeks and I say, get a report, just of how our compliance is. And, at some point it becomes a health issue, and it can become a serious issue. And I think it's something that needs to be addressed and looked at. So if we can't get it under control, then I think it's something that we'll have to continue monitoring, but hopefully we can get it under control. But I would like to keep an eye on it. If we can get an update during each council meeting, that would be great.
We provide doggy bags. We provide receptacles. I mean, other than walking somebody's dog for them, I'm not sure how much more we could do in order to make it easy to comply with this request. But
well, my hope is by this meeting and word of mouth that people will start paying attention, and peer pressure, and hopefully some guidance from folks will help curb that. So thank you. Anything else from any of the councilors? Public hearings, approval of licenses and permits. I don't believe we have any. Items not on the agenda for the council and the public. We'll check and see if there's anything from the public, anything from the council.
I have if for some reason I can't think of the word, at the middle school we were planning on doing the meeting.
Performing Arts Center.
Thank you. The auditorium of the Performing Arts Center. If that doesn't work, are we gonna figure out a way to distance in another place, and figure out how we can start having regular meetings here?
I don't know if there's. We can certainly look into it, because I would like to get live also and together, but we are truly limited in space, especially being open to the public. So the council chambers we just can't do it there. Yeah. And I think the library, I don't believe is big enough for what we may end up we have to expect that we're going to have a big, we have a crowd, and we have to be able to supply enough place for those folks, or let them know right up front that. So I think my hope is like yours and probably like everybody's, is that we can get up there until some rules change and we could meet in the council chambers. But I don't see that happening for a bit.
The planning board is planning on meeting at the Jewett School in the gym. They have a much lower, that's where they are, and their meetings are recorded, but they're not going to be aired over live. It's not possible to do it there. So,
Mr. Mayor, if I may,
Yes.
are there any other communities locally that are presently meeting in some sort of situation where they have public with them?
those that have large enough areas in which they've got chairs at 6 feet apart and sufficient distance to do that. I think Winterport did their meeting recently. I'm not sure if Orland is meeting in person, but they have a large area that they can do it in also. Our problem is that the council chambers is not big enough to allow social distancing for the council in a way that it would be visible, that would allow hardly anyone to be there from the public.
We do have a spot.
So our other buildings are school related.
So
are our options.
we do have a building at the Maine Maritime facility that has a big enough conference room. That
But as I said, those that are meeting in larger than normal.
Yeah, if we look at it, we could fit quite a few people in there and get social distance in there. And I think we could probably make that happen.
You, Peter.
What's that, Sue? I was just saying, Sue, that we have the ability, I think, to use the Maine Maritime facility. There's a big conference room there, and I can certainly look into that. There's plenty of room in there, I think, now that I think about it, to be able to social distance counselors, plus have a fairly sizable group in there that want to attend. So I don't think we would have the video streaming capabilities, but we could certainly tape it, I think, and pass it on. So I will look into that. Anybody else have anything else? Jay, how we do? Where do we stand on road projects?
I can't hear anyone. I can't hear them at all.
Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you, Jay.
I can't hear you.
The last time I spoke with the paving company, they were telling me that they intend to start our paving for the season the end of this month to the 1st of August. So we've been doing a few ditching projects, things to prepare, and we did a few cross pipes and things that needed to be done prior to the paving. So we're pretty much ready for the pavement to happen. We're just waiting for them to catch up to us.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, this is Rich.
Yeah, Rich.
But I can't hear them.
For the next council meeting, could we put on the agenda for the fishing pier? We've got an engineer, and I'd like council approval to hire the engineer so we can start getting that ready for the upcoming season.
Sure.
Thank you. Also, one last thing. I've started my vacation this evening, and I won't be back until August the 3rd. I will be disconnected from email and cell phone.
Good for you. Enjoy.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Sue, you're muted. I don't know if you can hear us again. Paul had the mute button.
I know. Now I know. Thanks, Paul. Next time, just say be quiet. Then I'll know what happened.
Well, you couldn't hear us, and I could tell you were getting frustrated, and I was afraid that you might say something.
And I might have. You're right. Absolutely. Good move.
Yeah.
So what,
Because
I don't know if you heard the
because by that
discussion,
point I would have.
I don't know if you heard the discussion, but I can certainly look into our facility, Maine Maritime's facility. The big conference room is big enough to host a council meeting. I just don't know if we would be able to stream it like we do, but we could certainly open that up.
Yeah, well, to the best of my knowledge, the Performing Arts Center will be available. This meeting it wasn't, because I believe they use the term summarizing the building, which is polishing floors and doing all those kind of things.
Sure.
But Jim anticipated that it would be available for meeting on the 13th.
So we will plan again to have our meeting up there.
But I will confirm that early in the week, and if there's going to be a problem, I'll contact you about how we could use Maine Maritime if they're open to that.
Okay. Any other discussion items? Anybody? All right. Item 14 is committee assignments and public hearings. And again, for our next council meeting, is that the correct date, the 9th?
No, the 13th.
Right. It has the 9th on there, so I think we'll
Yes,
make
it
sure.
does.
Yeah. So that was, I think, so our next, we'll have the committee meeting at 6 o'clock on the 13th, followed by a regular council meeting at 7 on the 13th, and hopefully it will all be in person. So that will be our plan going forward.
I did email American Cruise Lines today asking if there was any updates on anything, and I did not receive anything back. So I did reach out to them.
Okay, and if you did not hear, Rich had asked for an item on the agenda reference the fishing dock for the next time.
Yep. Okay.
All right. Item 15 is adjournment.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
A motion and a second. Everybody want to raise their hand? All in favor? There we are. Have a great night, everybody, and we will
Have a good night.
hopefully see us all live together.